Hello, this is Ariana Rollins, and you're listening to Mindful Manifesting. I'm so glad you're here. Have you ever wondered if it's possible to make changes in your health? In other words, use manifesting techniques to manifest good health. That's exactly what we're talking about today on episode 72. I'm so glad you're here. But before we get started, if you'd like to play at manifesting, accomplishing your goals with less pressure and forcing, I invite you to get our freebie at highertrueself.com/ and then look for freebies. It starts with a playful, simple wish list, yes, and it's done in such a way where you tune into what's important to you, and then you assess the value, the desirability, and all sorts of good, yummy things. Okay, go get your freebie, and let's get back to the show here. So let's talk about how health starts in our mind. And then we're going to talk about my experiences at the Dr. Joe Dispenza Advanced Retreat and the importance of environment. And then lastly, we're going to discuss how you can stay focused on the health and well-being, the intention that you want with good health, and pay less attention to the discomfort and the symptoms. Not saying it's easy, but we're going to talk about that. So let's dive into how health starts in our mind. Now, if you followed anybody's work like Bruce Lipton or Braden or Dr. Joe Dispenza, they've written wonderful books on how the placebo effect can affect your health. In fact, Dr. Joe wrote a book on the placebo effect. And then also there's another book by Dawson Church, The Genie in Your Genes. I think it's by him. I may have got that name incorrect. And then Greg Braden's Biology of Belief. So there's not an absence of research and books and guidance on how we think can affect our body and our mind. And it's really not a matter of knowing that's possible, but it's more a matter of how do we do it, right? So one of the things that I love about the Dr. Joe Dispenza meditations is that he gives instructions that when you're doing your meditation, you're not going to get up from your meditation until you feel different, until you feel like you've stepped in to that intention, that new reality is possible. You feel the emotions. And that's brilliant, because I also focus on that in my work, is that when you're doing your regular daily practice, that you feel at the end of that practice, feel uplifted, you feel that's possible, whatever it is that you're working on manifesting, and that you go about your day in a higher vibration. Super important. Let's also add, because we're talking about the mind and how that's important, the work of Abraham Hicks, the woman who channels the intelligence of Abraham. I'm not an expert, nor do I follow that body of work, but I do know that she focuses a lot on your vibration, your frequency. So there is something to this, and there's a plethora of evidence now how important how we are thinking and how health starts in the mind. So let's move into, and I'm going to give some tips at the end, but let's move into the next topic of the importance of our environment. So I've attended 2 Dr. Joe Dispenza events. I went to his Progressive when I first moved to Austin at the end of 2017. I loved that event. I highly recommend if you can get to a Progressive. I really enjoyed it because it was shorter, for one thing, and he would go into the instructions on how to do the meditation, then we do it right away. So I also went to an advanced retreat this year in April, and there is a show especially about my experience at the advanced retreat if you're a sensitive, empathic person. Sorry, I don't know the episode number, but you can look at the other episodes. So Dr. Joe pays a lot of attention to the environment, and I think he's the first man who comes from a place of science that really gives credence, other than, there are feng shui practitioners and a few other people out there, but it's not very commonly understood that your environment can affect your mind. It can affect how you think and how you feel. Remember back to the last time you went on holiday and you got yourself all packed, prepared. Maybe you took a plane there. When you arrived in your destination and you checked into the hotel, did you feel uplifted? Were you connected to a sense of excitement for your holiday, what you were going to do, and just that kind of sense of freedom, like shaking off life stresses? Well, there's another reason why you can feel that. Because in our homes, we have a lot of experience, right? We have thinking, we have events we have happen, we have maybe a conflict or an argument with our partner, frustration at work, and our homes are a sacred space. But they also take in and take on board all of our energy. So we're vibrating on a lower frequency. Our home and our belongings can hold that. I'm going to do an episode especially around the environment and how to upgrade the frequency and the vibration of our environment, but it's beyond what we're talking about here. But let's get back to this Dr. Joe Dispenza. Well, what I noticed at the beginning of the retreat, the energy felt heavy in the room. And because I'm sensitive to energy, and I've been trained for almost 35 years on sensing and tuning into energy, whether it's from a person or in an environment, that I noticed about 4 days in, the energy, the vibration just really notched up several levels. And there was a vibration, a fineness. And sometimes I can actually smell energy. That's an odd thing, but if you look it up, some people have this. And I could smell negative ions like I was at the ocean. So what was happening is that the breath work that was being done and the meditations, people were letting go of their old self. They were letting go of the physical health symptoms. There were a lot of miraculous healings that happened there too. And as they did that, the room got cleaner, higher vibration. So the importance of your environment can impact your ability to step into a new version of yourself, whether it's for physical health or for manifesting wealth or something else. Because the environment keeps reminding you of who you are. And in fact, we use our homes just robotically. We sit in a particular seat, we have our particular coffee cup, we roll out of bed on the same side. And while we're doing that, we're almost in like kind of a little sleepy state because we're on autopilot. The unconscious mind is doing this and we're just following it. We're not leading it. So when we shake up and we remove the energies of whether you're doing clearing clutter, I did that this week, felt great. I took a bunch of things I found out in Austin they have a thrift shop called Pets Alive, and everything that's donated goes to provide for the animals who are in the shelters. They have a no-kill policy. It's like, oh yeah, I'm all over that. That's where I'm donating things. So I donated things that were of great value, thinking, yay, it's going to save an animal's life. So when I came home, after I filled the car up with things, I felt, wow, it's like I could move easier in the home. There wasn't a lot of stuff gone, but I could feel there was a lightness. And then I decided, a day later, move my desk. So I cleaned everywhere around it, and I moved the position of the desk where I'm looking outside this huge, beautiful view of trees and these sliding glass door windows, and it changed my perspective. We know this with feng shui. If you've ever studied that or ever met someone who does that, they focus on directions, they focus on the environment. So we know there's something there to it. So we're going to talk about at the end some tips on what you can do to increase your vibration and elevate it, whether it's your mind or environment. Let's talk about the third thing. Not paying attention to the physical symptoms and focusing on the wholeness and the wellness. I know, my friends, I know this is easier said than done. Just the other day, I started to get a migraine, and I rarely get them now. It's very surprising I got one. And I started to get the sparkles, like off to the left side of my left eye. I was like, okay, migraines. So I do what I know works. I grabbed a particular essential oil, and there's certain places I put it on my head, and then I breathed it in, and it's like, oh, it didn't go away. Okay. So then I did an exercise that I do, which I teach in our highest potential program, is I tuned in to that body symptom because the body feeling was communicating. I know it sounds weird and it's out there, but bear with me. There is profound wisdom in paying attention to the body because the body's communicating all the time. Of course we listen to it, like when we're hungry or when we're sleepy, right? But the other communications from our body, we don't know how to translate them. So I did an exercise from the highest potential program, and I got immediately, after a few minutes, what the communication was. Migraine disappeared. Now, anyone who's ever had migraines knows the incredible relief. So if you have some body symptoms, when you're focusing on the vision, that seeing yourself wholeness, and I do invite you to write this down and put in the emotions. Are you feeling relief? Are you feeling comfort in your body? Are you feeling joy? Are you feeling gratitude? Are you feeling peace? Weave in the emotions and create a vision of the future of you being whole and well, because you weren't always like that. It's just this moment in time. And one other thing I did not mention, I'm going to bring it up now, is that any kind of illness or condition starts not in the physical, it starts in our energy field. And I don't know how I know this, but I know it to be the case because when I'm working with someone, I can see and sense that there's something, an unwellness that's about to possibly happen, but it doesn't have to. So it doesn't have to condense into physical reality. So bear with me here. I know this sounds way out there, but if you're listening to the show, I think you're on the way out there kind of realm like I am. So we can have something in our life. I mean, we could even look at a very physical, well-known phenomena. If you've ever had chicken pox as a child, when you get older, I think over 50 or so they say, that and you have a stressful moment, an experience, a shock, that chickenpox virus can turn into shingles. It can morph into shingles. And think about it. The virus is laying dormant. Actually, they live dormant along your spine. And it's sitting there. It's not bothering you. You don't have chickenpox now. You haven't had it for 40 years, 30 years. And all of a sudden, it's morphed into shingles. What caused it? A lowering of your immune system and a shock often. Some kind of event that just threw you off balance, off center. And now you're dealing with shingles. So we know from science that that's happened. That's actually possible. So good health starts in the mind. We're going to start to wrap up. And as we realize that, yes, we could have a health condition, but if we are paying attention to how we're feeling in our body and not only what we eat, what we drink, and our exercise and movement, no, but it's very much about how we're thinking and how we're feeling, because that will dictate more than anything our physical health, our stamina, our well-being, our sleep. And it's going to influence our environment, right? If you've ever walked into a room where someone has just had an argument or there's been some kind of loss or grief, most people will feel it. Well, same thing in your home. But those energies don't dissipate, they accumulate. So I'm going to give you an exercise here, okay? Is write down that vision of your health and have it in the positive, okay? And I like to use the term with right timing and right action. I will be sleeping through the night and having vibrant energy as I eagerly wake up in the morning to greet my day. Something like that. It's a little too affirmational, so we need to bring in things like how we'll feel. Notice where we are in the room as we wake up in the morning, right? Seeing the sunlight flowing through the curtains, or that, like me, I like to wake up at like 4:30, and it's like dark, and I'm like, oh yay, all right, look what time it is. I get a whole like extra day. It feels like, because I can get so much done in those magic mornings. And write down how you feel and tune into it. Rate it on a 1 to 10 scale, 10 being very desirable, 1 not at all. If it's not a 10, don't sell yourself short. Make those changes. Write it down. And then focus on it. Perhaps if you are doing meditation, read it before you go into meditation. Read it after. Anchor it in your heart. Surround it with a ball of white light and breathe it into your heart. This is what I would like to experience in right timing and right action. Please make this happen in ways for the highest good of me and of all involved. Now, I went a little into more detail, but I really want to give you the most in this because I truly believe that we can manifest health. I remember there was a gentleman who had gone through the highest potential program years ago, and Bill was a very sensitive man, very loving, very heart-based, and that he lacked a lot of confidence, and he would tend to kind of go along and be passive in his relationships and his work. Two things he shared with me that stand out. One is he started to get recognized by the president of the company, and he had never been. He was invisible to pretty much everybody in the company. And he started to notice wow, something's changed. Obviously, his sense of self and his vibration had gone up to where he was noticed. The other thing, which was really interesting, because I did not realize way back when, that this work could have a positive effect on someone's health, even without focusing on it. He said he had lifetime issues of psoriasis, and they went away. So, as we wrap up, I would love for you to subscribe to the show if you haven't already, and just stay tuned because we've got so many good shows coming up, and I can't wait to share this content with you. So let's just wrap up, and just a reminder, go get your freebie at highertrueself.com and start to play with manifesting from a simple wish list. And remember that when you confirm yourself, it frees you to succeed on your terms. Thanks so much for listening. So much love. Bye for now.